LLC. This is my booktube channel, The Fancy Hat Lady Reads. I am wearing my fancy booktube hat, which is far more seasonally appropriate now that it is summer than it was in winter. And today I am bringing you my TBR video for the month of July. I have, how many books do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 books that I'm hoping to get through in July. 3 are library books, 3 are books I own. The first book, the one that I'm currently reading, is The Lie Tree by Frances Hardinge. I am over halfway through with this and I'm hoping to finish it this weekend. And this is a YA historical fantasy that is heavier on the historical than the fantasy. It takes place in the 19th century. It follows a girl named Faith, whose father is a natural scientist, researching fossils and so forth. And this has also got an element of murder mystery in it. I'm really enjoying this book. I picked it up. This has been out in the UK for a while, but it just came out in the US pretty recently. And I had been hearing this, even though it's a YA book, not on booktube channels that normally read YA, but on booktube channels of people who normally read adult SFF, and they were really liking this. So I thought that was interesting, and it made me really want to read this, and I'm really glad that I got this from the library. The next book I want to get to is The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula Guin. This is one of her sci-fi novels. This was first published in maybe 1969. It has a definite, like, to me this is an old sci-fi book smell. I know this is completely irrelevant to you guys, but I didn't even realize until I smelled this copy of this book that I have that there is a very specific smell that I associate with old sci-fi books, and this has it. I think this is a childhood memory thing from certain old sci-fi books that a family member of mine gave me when I was younger, and this just has the same smell as those books. And it did weird things with my brain when I started smelling it. Anyways, I have had really mixed success trying to read Le Guin's writing in my life. I've only read her fantasy though, I've never tried her sci-fi. I didn't realize until fairly recently that she actually wrote the kids books, the Cat Wings series, that I absolutely adored in like 2nd grade. Because that's literally a series about like a family of cats with wings, and that was, I mean, Cats with Wings was everything I wanted my life to be as a child, right? And then I haven't really been in love with her more YA/adult fantasy books that I've tried reading since then. I read, I think, the first book in her Annals of the Western Shore series in high school, and I remember literally nothing about it except that I didn't pick up the second book. And more recently, last summer, I read Wizard of Earthsea, and I felt really so-so about it. This book has a phenomenal reputation. I think it has to do with like aliens and gender. So I'm really looking forward to this. The next book I have here is the second in a series, and it is Tower of Thorns by Juliet Marillier. This is her most recently released book. It is the second book in her current series that she's got going right now, which is the Blackthorn and Guin series, the first book of which was Dreamer's Pool. I got Dreamer's Pool from the library back when it was relatively newish, before this book came out, and I felt like it wasn't the best book of Marillier's that I had read, but I think that the things that I found lacking in it were first book setting up the premise of the series things, and based on the reviews I've seen of this book, I'm expecting that this is going to appeal to me a lot. This is a historical fantasy series that takes place in ancient Ireland. I'm not sure exactly what time period. I don't know that history well enough. It's about a healer named Blackthorn and a bargain she ends up making with the Fae at the beginning of the first book. And it's kind of set up like a detective series, but like magical detectives. I think the premise is that Blackthorn and Grimm together end up solving some sort of magical mystery in every book, and I'm looking forward to seeing what that's going to be in this book. The next book I have here is one of 2 rereads from when I was much younger that I want to get to this month, and it is Howl's Moving Castle by Wynne Jones. This is one of 2 books by Wynne Jones that I had in my childhood, and they're still the only books of hers that I've read. I want to reread both of them, and I also want to read a few of her other books. The other one that I have is Dog's Body. I remember liking Dog's Body a lot better than this one when I was a child, but looking at them now, I feel like this is more the type of book that I would like now. I think my reading preferences might have changed some since then. Part of the reason I felt compelled to reread this is because I have never seen the Miyazaki film adaptation of this, but I really, really want to. But I do want to revisit the book first. So this is my prerequisite rereading before watching the movie. Basically, this is hilarious, but the only thing I really remember very clearly about this book is that the protagonist, Sophie, starts out the book working in a millinery shop. Yeah, I don't know why that would be the thing that stuck with me. Yeah, me and hats. Just for the record, if I lived in like an old-fashioned-y fantasy kingdom, I would totally want to work in a millinery shop. That would be my dream job if I lived in a fantasy kingdom. Like, you imagine that you want to be the princess or the queen or whatever, but in reality you don't really want that job because it's tough and dangerous. But what you want is to make hats, right? Alrighty then, that was a tangent. The next book I have from the library here is A Darker Shade of Magic by V. Schwab. I have never read anything by V. Schwab. This series has a ton load of hype. It's a trilogy. 2 of the 3 books are out so far, and the 3rd is highly anticipated. I have hesitated to pick this up because even though I've heard a lot of positive, glowing reviews about it, most of the things I've heard on the internet and on booktube are fairly unspecific, and this has to do with like traveling between multiple realities in London where magic is different in each one, which is a premise that I feel like could either work really well for me or like it could totally tank. So I was hesitant to pick this up, and I eventually realized that we'll never know if this could be my next fun fantasy series to dive into unless I just give it a try. So I'm gonna give this a try. The last book I have here is my second reread from when I was younger, and that is The Blue Sword by McKinley. I have not reread this ever. I think I've only read this once in my life, and it was either like late middle school or really early high school. This is one of McKinley's most famous books, and she is basically my favorite author. And I think the reason I'd never reread it is because I don't think I ever owned a copy. So I went and I purchased a copy, and now I'm finally going to give this a reread. I remember really loving this book when I was younger. I read earlier this calendar year, I reread, where is it? Aha, The Hero and the Crown. It's down here, which is the other book that takes place in this fantasy kingdom of Damar. The Hero and the Crown is a prequel to The Blue Sword. So I'm looking forward to rereading this as well. So that's all the books that I have definitively planned for this month. I think it's quite possible that I'll end up reading more than this because like Howl's Moving Castle and The Blue Sword are both books for perhaps younger audiences that will go a little faster. I'm expecting like A Darker Shade of Magic will be pretty fast-paced reading. I'm not too sure about Tower of Thorns or The Left Hand of Darkness though. But anyways, I've got plenty of books that I can read if I get through all of these, but I'm definitely thinking that I will succeed in reading all of these books. Okay, anyways, that is all for now. Please let me know if you've read any of these books or if they're on your TBRs. I'd love to hear from you. Talk to me about books. Okay, that is all. Bye for now.